Yeah.
The greatest night of our lives. You're gonna let it be the worst.
I guarantee you, we won't go by your life. You won't regret walking out letting them get the best of you.
Well, I'm not going home.
Not too far! The day may come when the courage of man fails, but it is not this day. This far, no faster.
I'm not saying it's going to be easy.
You're gonna work harder than you've ever worked before.
But that's fine, we're just gonna come with it.
A passion gets to keep and shows real determination.
Failure is not an option. That's how winning is done.
Believe me when I say
We can break this army here.
and we just want to get there.
Well, I say to you, what every warrior has known since the beginning of time, you've got to get mad. I mean, plumb mad dog me.
If you would be free then you will fight to fulfill the promise. Let us cut out their living guts 1 inch at a time.
And they will know what we can do.
Let no man forget how menacing we are. We are lions. Like a big bear, man.
This is your fight. Seize the day. Never surrender.
Victory or death.
Who's with me?
Come! Come!
You've been going in with the power of death. Don't know, my man is the Lord. Listen, we take our lives, but they'll never take our Independence Day.
Does anyone else love that feeling 5 minutes before you go see your favorite band on stage? You get to the venue, you got the chills rolling up and down your spine, and you know your favorite band's about to hit the stage. Just last week, we got to go see Poison. Remember Poison? Nothing but a good time, every rose. 4 original guys. It was awesome standing up there. I love that feeling. Anybody else love that feeling? That feeling right before a show? Yeah. There you go. I got the lighter. I love it. I've never had lighters. I love it. That feeling right before a show is amazing. I remember just a month ago, I took my kids to go see Bon Jovi. We got some Bon Jovi fans, right? Go see them play. I took my 12-year-old sister. My bride and I took my 12-year-old sister to her first concert to go see Hanson. What was Hanson's big song? Danielle got excited. What was their big song? Bop. Dude, you know that, right? That moment right before a concert is great. I remember going to see Garth Brooks, standing in line for 10 hours to get to go see the man. And as I was preparing everything for today, I thought of those lines that they keep saying in this song, waiting, anticipating, waiting, anticipating. It kept going over and over and over in my mind. But the line that got me was, you know, I've got great expectations. And for today, I've got great expectations, not for me, but for you and what we're going to accomplish together today. I'm so excited that we're doing this. So that's one of the reasons I played that song this morning to start out. When I first put this together, I called it Leadership Lessons. You'll see that in your agenda. But as I wrote more and more, these 4 words kept coming back to mind. And those words were patient, expectant, eager, and obedient. Patient, expectant, eager, and obedient. Quick aside, when speakers say things over and over, that means you should write it down. Okay, so those words kept coming to me over and over. And as I wrote, I wondered, has anyone gone through that phase in life, maybe where you're expected to be patient, expectant, maybe where you're too eager for things and you need to pull off? You see, as I wrote, I thought, man, patient, expectant, eager, obedient. How do I get people to remember that, right? So I was like, well, acronyms. Everybody loves acronyms, right? So I start to write it out. And I thought I can't have my acronym be P, so I had pulled that off. And then it was, okay, maybe we go P-O-E. And Star Wars fans, I went to Poe Dameron, and then that'll distract me, and I'll talk about Star Wars all day, so we can't do that. So I took that off, and then I was like O-E-P-E. I couldn't come up with anything good. So there was no acronyms, so you just have to remember it. That's why I said write it down. So I had all these acronyms, I had these words, and I thought of this phase that I had been in about 18 months ago of just being stuck. Anybody else ever feel like you're just stuck? You don't hate your job, you don't hate your setting, but you just feel like things aren't going maybe the way they used to. Maybe you don't have that vibrance, that passion that you used to exude at work or with your family. I don't think I'm the only one in thinking that I've been through this. And so I'm sitting there about 18 months ago, and these words start coming to my mind: patient, expectant, and eager. These things that maybe I need to lean into a little bit more. And so with that in mind, I want to ask if you've ever been in that phase. Maybe it's at work, maybe it's in a personal setting, maybe with your family, that we kind of start from there, because that's really where we're going to go this afternoon. I want to take a little bit of time to talk about how those 4 words could launch you from where you are, wherever you are, to wherever you want to be. Now, let me ask by a quick show of hands, how many of you have ever been 5? Let me help you out on the tough ones. That'd be all of us. We were all 5, right? Okay, we were all kids. And what the worst word a kid can hear is patience. No is a bad one too. Patience. The night before Christmas, you want to open your presents. Patience. 10 minutes before 4th of July fireworks. Patience. The weeks leading up to a Star Wars movie. Patience. See, that's even true for 42-year-old me. But patience, patience, patience. And they say it's a virtue. But let me ask, why is it so important? Why can't I have my cake and eat it too? I'm 42 and I'm still working on this. Here's what I've learned, especially in the last 18 months. Usually when you're asked to be patient about something, there's something you need to learn during that season of life. And let me give you an example. 2007, my bride and I and our 2-year-old son are living down in Kansas City, Missouri. And things were going really well at work. I had a great team, and I got honored, and I tell you this humbly because it doesn't end great. I got honored to win this huge award, biggest award in our company, and they flew me out to Palm Springs, California. I get off the plane, and there's a guy standing there with my name on it, and a limo. I'm like, good for me. This is so cool. This has never happened to me. And I get there, and there's flash photographers and people taking pictures, and there's this big banquet and this gala, and it's the coolest moment. I'm like, I'm on top of the world. This is awesome, right? I'm calling my bride going, you got to see what's happening. And I get this award, and I'm honored in front of my whole company. And as I shake the CEO's hand and I walk off the stage, a friend of mine puts his arm around me. He goes, well, up or out, buddy. I said, up or out? What's that mean? He said, look, people who win this award, they either move up or they go out. I said, oh, well, I don't want to go out, so I guess I'd better try to move up. He said, that's what I was hoping you would say. There's a leadership program, and to get promoted, you got to get into it. I'm sure you'll do fine, don't worry. I said, okay, so I applied for this leadership program. Month of psychological testing. They're asking you, do you prefer red or green? Would you eat avocados or a steak? All these different crazy questions. You sit with a psychologist for 4 hours. They overanalyze everything you say. And after a month, I have a call with the HR director. And I'm ready for her to tell me, Bill, you made it into the leadership program. Up or out, right? I'm going up. Now look at my phrasing there was even, I'm waiting for her to tell me I'm going to be in the program. I was expectant. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But I wasn't patient. So I get on the phone with her, and she says, Bill, you did great on that assessment and with the psychologist. And I was like, darn right I did. And she said, you did great in almost every category. That was the first red flag. Almost every category? What do you mean? She said, well, we're really pleased with a lot of the things you're doing. However, we're not going to let you in the leadership program. We want you to work on one skill. And I was floored. I said, one skill? Were you out in California? I had the limo. I had the guy with the sign. What do you mean I need to work on a skill? She said, we want you to learn how to delegate better. Her name was Donna. I said, Donna, are you telling me I can't get promoted because I'd rather do something myself than ask someone else to do it? And she said, Bill, that's exactly what I'm telling you. Now, let me tell you as an aside, if you are somebody who doesn't think delegation is a good thing or you'd rather do it yourself, take 5 minutes to talk with me afterwards because it is such an important skill. And that HR director and that psychologist was spot on. I did need to learn that. I did need to be patient and lean into that. But I didn't see it at the time. So if that's something I could help you with later, please come talk to me. But back to 2007. So I don't get in the program. Up or out? What am I going to do? Well, I got a little bit of a chip on my shoulder, and so I decided I was going to at least try to learn this delegation thing. I had the best mentor you could ask for in a guy named Eddie Colon, and he worked really, really close with me to help me get better in my job. Had I got into that program, I would have had to move to Albuquerque, New Mexico, or Tucson, Arizona. Nothing wrong with those cities, but not booming metropolises. And as you can see these two cute kids here, I'm a family guy, and my family's in Wisconsin. That would have been pretty tough to have moved all the way down there with a young child. So I don't get in, and it turns out to be a good thing, but let me walk you through what happens. So over the next year, you got to wait a year to apply again. I got a chip on my shoulder, I'm a little upset, and we work hard, and that same team blows out what they did the prior year. Same great conference, same pomp and circumstance, different limo guy, but it was still really cool. And so I get there, you got to go up or out. You got to get in this program this time. So this time I go through the interviews, same thing with the psychologist. Well, you know, sir, I've learned how to delegate now. I give my team things, and I inspect what I expect, and I trust, and lo and behold, I'm about to get in the program. Now this is where the story gets fun. HR director calls me at 9 o'clock on a Thursday morning. Same woman. Bill, we're excited to have you in the program. We're going to welcome you into the leadership program. You can apply for any job in the company now. You can get ready to kind of move up or out. This is your chance to move up. So I say, great, I'm thrilled. Patience got me there. It would have been very easy to push my way into another company, to push my way into that program or convince someone that I should be right for that job in Tucson, that job in Albuquerque. But patience taught me that delegation skill. There was something I needed to learn. And I'm going to tell you the quick end of that story. So I told you Donna called me at 9 o'clock. At 10 o'clock, my phone rang, and it was my friend. We called him Big Daddy. His name was Ray Sweetman. You know Big Daddy. Big Daddy called me at 10 o'clock from Green Bay, Wisconsin. And he goes, Bill, I'm a little disappointed you didn't apply for the job in Madison. I said, I didn't know there was a job in Madison. He goes, well, if you were in the leadership program, you would have found out. And I said, Big Daddy, I just got accepted an hour ago. He says to me, will you be at your desk in an hour? Or in 5 minutes, in 5 minutes. And I said, yeah. And he hung up the phone. And 5 minutes later, my phone rings, and it's a woman I had worked for 4 years ago. And she said, Bill, I heard you're in the leadership program. Is there any chance you could be in Wisconsin tomorrow? Now get this, if that wasn't cool enough, her and I had been planning to leave that night to drive overnight to go spend the weekend with our family in Wisconsin. Patience offered that opportunity for me to be standing here right now. If there's something you need to be patient about, maybe there's something you need to learn to lean into in this season about patience. That skill of delegation is what I needed to learn. Maybe that's what it is for you. Maybe it's something else. My challenge to you, this is a leadership summit. If I don't challenge you on something, I'm not doing my job. My challenge to you would be to ask yourself. By the way, when we pause, that means we got something big, and maybe you should write that down too. Ask yourself, what should I be learning in this season? And how can I lean more into that? And then, while being patient, start to expect great things. I told you, one of the reasons that song played is he said, you know I've got great expectations. You know I've got great expectations. So while I'm being patient, I'm not letting those expectations go, but let's move to that second point. How do you be expectant? So let me ask you something. Are you that person that expects great things to happen? Or are you that person that says, well, it's just our luck. It's just our luck. This is how things happen. Got a flat tire this morning. My whole day is going to be terrible now. You know that person? I knew a guy, he got a flat tire at 7 in the morning. At 5 at night, he was still bummed out about it. We've moved on. It's time to move on, Ozzy. I want to show you how being expectant for great things can change the course of your career. Most of you heard of Zig Ziglar, right? Everybody remembers old Zig. Maybe you don't. He was a motivational speaker for years and years and years. So Zig's talking to this woman. This is a great story. Zig's talking to this woman, and she's telling him about how bad her job is. And she says, Zig, I hate my job. I hate everything about it. He said, you don't like one thing? She said, no, I just told you I hate my job. So Zig says, wow, well, what do you hate about your job? He grabs out a pen. She said, well, I don't like my boss very much. He writes that down. He said, well, what else? Well, my coworkers are mean to me. He writes that down. He said, what else? She said, I got the worst parking spot in the whole company. He writes that down. And they start to write down a couple more things. Before you know it, they got a half page of paper filled. And Zig, if you know Zig, he's got his old Southern charm. He goes, wow, well, that's a shame that that's where you're working. I wish they paid you for doing this. She said, what are you talking about? Of course they pay me. And he said, well, you just said all these terrible things. I figured they didn't even pay you. She goes, actually, no, they pay, I don't want to say it, but they pay me pretty good. And he's like, really? Could I write that down maybe as a good thing? She said, yeah, I guess so. So he flips a piece of paper over, he writes that down. And he said, I just think it's a shame, though, that you probably don't get insurance working for these people. And she said, well, all right, actually, I get really good insurance. He goes, what do you mean really good? He writes that down real quick. She said, well, my kids got some health issues. I got to go to the doctor all the time. They're always sick. And so the health coverage is pretty darn good. He goes, well, that's too bad your boss is so jerk about you having to leave all the time. And she said, well, actually, he's really nice about it. He lets me come and go whenever I please. And he writes that down. Wow, come and go whenever you please. And all of a sudden, she starts rattling off a list of all these things that are great about the company she's working for. Now, I'm going to tell you something. Old Zig, he didn't change your boss. And he didn't change your coworkers. And he darn sure didn't change your parking lot. What he shifted was her mind to be expectant for the great things that could happen in her life. When you expect great things can happen. And I'm going to tell you, that woman went on to go run a division of her company. And she flat out came back to Zig later. Years later, she saw him at a conference. And she said, Mr. Ziegler, I never would have the job I had if you hadn't sat down and spent that 10 minutes with me. 10 minutes changed her expectations. So how can you change your expectations in what you're doing? There was a movie called The Secret. Anybody ever hear that, or the book, The Secret? Oprah Winfrey was behind it. So I was looking for all these videos. Pablo's going to show us a video in a minute. I was looking for all these videos on it, and it gets pretty deep. If you want to watch it, it's on Netflix. I'd highly encourage you to check it out. But a lot of stars have been in it. I found this one video where Jim Carrey, you guys remember Jim Carrey? In 1985, when he was broke as a joke, he had no money, broke as a joke, writes himself a check for $10 million. Dated Thanksgiving of 1995. Jim Carrey had expectations. You know what came out in Thanksgiving of 1995, just before? Dumb and Dumber. You know how much Jim Carrey got paid to make that movie? $10 million. He had an expectant life, and he talked about this secret, and it's about the laws of attraction. You attract great things into you, or sometimes you attract negative things into you, whether you want to admit it or not. So as I'm scouring the internet, trying to find a good video, just a couple minutes to capture something, one, to give you a break from my voice, but two, to let somebody else kind of reinforce this, I found this video from Matthew McConaughey, and I want to play it for you because I think it really captures how to be expectant for great things.
To an outcome. If I win, I will be happy. If I don't, I won't. It's an if-then, cause and effect, quid pro quo standard that we cannot sustain because we immediately raise it every time we attain it. You see, happiness demands a certain outcome. It is result reliant. And I say if happiness is what you're after, then you're going to be let down frequently, and you're going to be unhappy much of your time. Joy, though. Joy is a different thing. It's something else. Joy is not a choice. It's not a response to some result. It's a constant. Joy is the feeling that we have from doing what we are fashioned to do, no matter the outcome. Now, personally, as an actor, I started enjoying my work, living, and literally being more happy when I stopped trying to make the daily labor a means to a certain end. For example, I need this film to be a box office success. I need my performance to be acknowledged. I need the respect of my peers. All those are reasonable aspirations, but the truth is, as soon as the work, the daily making of the movie, the doing of the deed became the reward in itself for me, I got more box office, more accolades, and respect than I ever had before. See, joy is always in process. It's under construction. It is in constant approach, alive and well in the doing of what we're fashioned to do and enjoying. The easiest way to dissect success is through gratitude. Giving thanks for that which we do have, for what is working. Appreciating the simple things we sometimes take for granted. We give thanks for these things, and that gratitude reciprocates, creating more to be thankful for. It's really simple, and it works. Now, I'm not saying be in denial of your failures. No, we can learn from them too, but only if you look at them constructively, as a means to reveal what we are good at, what we can get better at, what we do succeed at. Our life's a bird. We try our best, we don't always do our best. And since we are the architects of our own lives, let's study the habits, the practices, the routines that we have that lead to and feed our success, our joy, our honest anger, our laughter, our earned tears. Let's dissect that and give thanks for those things. And when we do that, guess what happens? We get better at them. And we have more to dissect. To get rich quick on the internet, rich is 15 minutes of fame world that we live in, and we see it every day. But we all want to succeed, right? So the question that we got to ask ourselves is what success is to us, what success is to you. Is it more money? That's fine. I think it's money. Maybe it's a healthy family. Maybe it's a happy marriage. Maybe it's to help others, to be famous, to be spiritually sound, to leave the world a little bit better place to be found in. Continue to ask yourself that question. Now, your answer may change over time, and that's fine. But do yourself this favor. Whatever your answer is, don't choose anything that will jeopardize your soul. Prioritize who you are, who you want to be, and don't spend time with anything that antagonizes your character. Don't drink the Kool-Aid, man. It tastes sweet, but you will get cavities tomorrow. All right? Life is not a popularity contest. Be brave, take the hill, but first answer that question, what's my hill? Well, for me, it's a measurement of 5 things. We got fatherhood. We got being a good husband. We got my health, mind, body, and spirit. We got career, and we got friendships. These are what's important to me in my life right now. Because I want to keep all 5 in healthy shape. And I know that if I don't take care of them, if I don't keep up maintenance on them, one of them is going to get weak, man. It's going to dip too deep into the debit section is going to go bankrupt. It's going to get sick, die. So first, we have to define success for ourselves. And then we have to put in the work to maintain it. Take that daily tally. Tend our garden. Keep the things that are important to us in good shape. Defining ourselves by what we are not is the first step that leads us to really knowing who we are.
Go ahead and stop that, Pablo. I love that he says he's got those 5 things that are important to him. For you, maybe it's 7. For you, maybe it's 4. It could be different for any of us, but you know what I love? He's identified it. And not all of us take the time to do that. When I found that, and I heard somebody expecting great things in his life, I thought, he summed up what I'm trying to say in 50 minutes in 5. So too bad we got 30 more minutes. But that was pretty good how he put that. It's a great video. If you want to see the whole thing, there's probably 3-4 more minutes. But he ends it by saying, play like an underdog. If you think about the underdog is always trying to win, right? The underdog believes they can win. They expect it because they got nothing to lose. So play like an underdog and expect to win. Old Zig used to say, positive thinking won't do everything for you, but it'll give you a lot more than negative thinking will. And so to that end, that got a little bit deep. Let me give you a little, much more simpler analogy for how you can be expectant and change your mind shift. I'm pretty sure all of us live in Wisconsin, have at least experienced a winter in Wisconsin. So why is it in January on a 10-degree day, I could go out to Cascade Mountain and see almost 500 people out there skiing with big smiles on their faces, and at the same time, there's somebody who lives here in Madison that runs outside and grabs the newspaper and say, oh, I can't go outside today. It's their mind shift. And what they expect to happen there versus what they expected to happen here. And if you live with expectations, anything is possible for your greatness. The greatness that's within you can happen if you expect great things. So we're 2 letters through my PO, EOP, whatever you want to call it. Here's what I want to do so far. Let's take a minute and stretch. Just let your minds work a little bit. And let's see who can tell your neighbor what the song was that we started out with. All right, so we're going to take 60 seconds. Just stand up, stretch, shake someone's hand. See if you can tell them. I'm going to ask, and I got prizes for whoever knows. It's coming. How are you? Good. Thanks for coming. All right, we're going to bring it back here. I got some fabulous prizes. What was the name of the song that cued us off? Not the band, the song. Anybody know? Rock and Roll Band. All right. Did anybody else know that? Nobody else? Okay. Who was the band? Does anybody know? Boston. All right. We got a couple Bostons there. Somebody else said that over here. Boston. All right. Now, these are like, are these ice packs, Danielle? Yeah. These are very popular. The big question, why did I play that song? Favorite group? No. Good guess though. Frank. Anticipation. Who said that over here? Dr. C. All right. Any other guesses? Why did I play that song? The waiting, anticipating. That's also there. Any other guesses? Great expectations. I love it. Who said that? Awesome. You're doubling up. You can share with your table. By the way, those little USB ports at your table, that's for everybody. Please grab one if you want. Here's the other reason. And in a couple minutes, I'm going to go rogue and try to tell you what I know about the brain. And I don't know much about it, but I do know one thing, and that is a lot of us connect with music. And my hope is you may have that running through your head. Waiting, anticipating. That's all the singing I'll do, I promise. But my hope is you've got that running through your head. Or maybe, what if in 3, 4, 5, 6 months you're driving down the road, you're flipping through the radio, and that song comes on again. And all of a sudden you go, you know what, I had expectations that day and I let them slip back. And you can jump back right where you were that quick. So that's why I played it. I hope you've got great expectations. I know I do. All right, so we've got 2 down. What were they? What was the first one? Patient, thank you. Second one? Expectant. The third one I want to talk about is eager. Let me ask, what words come to mind when you hear the word eager? Rushed. All right. Johnny gets something. All right. Anything else?
Hungry.
Hungry. All right. What else? Paul?
I was going to say energized.
Energized. Then Jennifer was going to say something behind you. Excited. All right. I'm passing these out too. Awesome. So I'm going to show a scene from a movie in a sec of a kid that defined eager to me. When I was thinking of this word, this kid is what defined eager. Pablo's going to pop it up in a second. And here's what I want you to look at. Every time they show this kid, I want you to look at the eyes. And I want you to remember that it's animated. And ask yourself, why did they take the time to make the eyes look like this? Go ahead, Pablo. This is about a 1.5-minute scene for you.
I've lost count. Fish aren't meant to be in a box, kid. It does things to you.
That's the cue, Sharpay. You can do it, kid.
Okay, we gotta be quick. Once you get in, you swing down to the bottom of the chamber, and I'll walk you through the rest.
Okay.
Go on, it'll be a piece of count.
Nicely done. Did you hear me? Here comes the padlock. Now, do you see a small opening? A little inside it was a rotating thing. Very carefully, push that handle into the frame inside the chamber. Be careful, Sharpay.
No, this isn't a good idea.
Try it again.
Okay.
That's great, kid. Swing off the tube and out.
Pause it right there. Pablo's going to cue up one more video, but as eager as his eyes looked in the beginning, now those eyes look like failure. What movie was it? You know what movie it was? Finding Nemo. Why was Nemo, or Sharkbait, so eager? He wanted to go see his dad, right? He missed his dad. He wanted to go see his dad. And he was willing to fight for and try anything to go see his dad. That's what eager is like to me. I'll go through anything. I'll go through a brick wall. I'll swim up a tube with no air if I have to get where I want to go in life. And that's what eager looks like to me. And that's what eager looks like failing. But he doesn't fail, does he? Play the next part if you would for us, Pablo.
He's swimming in his builder. Again.
stop. You can stop there. Thank you. So you look at the eyes, and that's what eager looks like to me. And so I wonder, what are we eager about? You know, I like to ask that when I travel around. I do a lot of talks at conferences and things. And so I'll ask people. I want to get to know people. I tell people when I hire them, if you have a genuine interest in people, you'll love the industry we work in. So I have an interest in people. I'll ask, what are you eager about? And one day I'm sitting talking to my grandma, and I said, Grandma, what are you eager about? You know what she said? My grandma's uber religious. She said to go to heaven. And I quoted Kenny Chesney to her. I said, Grandma, everybody wants to go to heaven. Nobody wants to go now. So with that in mind, let's talk about what we are eager about. And I want to focus you in a little bit. I want to know, what are you eager about over the next 30 days? So from today to July 20th. What are you eager that's going to happen? Maybe in your personal life, maybe at work, maybe somewhere outside of those areas, maybe in sports. What are you eager about? I want you to take 40 seconds to write down what you're eager about. You don't have to share. This will just be for you. Go ahead and take something, write something down. Ready, set, go. All right, I'm going to tell you mine first. And I went kind of personal when I thought about this. 4th of July is coming up. And every year we have a 4th of July Eve party. It is the biggest, trashiest party on the block. We have cars parked all over our backyard. It's a riot. People started dressing up. I got a buddy who wore these shorty shorts. It was awkward. His kids wouldn't talk to him for a week. And it is the most fun party we have all year because I get to stand back and see my kids and my bride and my community come together and just have fun and listen to music and be a family. So that's what I'm really looking forward to. That's what I'm eager for in the next 30 days. Somebody else? Anybody else got something you're eager for in the next 30 days that you're willing to share?
Oh, I'll share, Bill, you know.
All right, thank you, Eric.
So I'm going to tap on the 4th of July thing. I'm eager to see which of the police officers comes to my house the night of the 4th of July because all my kids and my family and all the neighborhood kids are there and we're usually blowing stuff up. And I'm just going to stop now. And every year the police come to my house.
I just hope on the 5th you got all 10 fingers. That's all we hope for.
That's the idea.
Anybody else? What are you eager for?
My
Stacy.
son's wedding in August.
Awesome. Lots of prep. I know you've done getting ready for that.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Anybody else? What are you eager for? Danielle.
I wrote down changing 34 lives with education.
Ah,
July has our goals.
awesome. That is cool. By the way, now enrolling, Herzing University. If anybody's interested, talk to Danielle, Lindsay, or Harmony back there. Anybody else? What are you eager for? Johnny.
I am eager to find a job in my career field.
Oh, you just spoke to a lot of our hearts. This is what we do for a living. That is awesome. You will too. Anybody else? Sunil.
I took a break from golf after 10 years, came back and just started playing gear. Got the swing perfect, everything's good. So I made a goal at the end of July. I should have my handicap below 10.
Oh,
I'm
awesome.
not there yet, but I'm still eager for it.
That you're eager for it. He's expectant. He's eager, but he's patient. I love it. Thank you, Sunil. And you get to play with your son on the weekends, right?
Dude, he's the
Yes.
one that actually taught my swing to swing back.
That's cool. Learning from our kids. That's awesome. Thank you. So a lot of these things, I bet Sunil even getting to that 10 handicap. A lot of these things that you said over the next 30 days, I bet all the things you wrote down, they're probably going to happen. They're pretty likely. So now what I want to do is I'm going to push you a little bit. I want to ask in the next 18 to 24 months, the next year and a half, what are you eager for? And I'm going to give you a minute and a half to write this down. And here's why. See, after about 40 seconds, this is going to get awkward. And the silence is going to be kind of weird. And you're going to say, well, I guess I wrote something down. And then you're going to rethink it. And then you're going to think even harder about what you're eager for. So I want you to take 90 seconds and really give it some thought. What are you eager for in the next 18 to 24 months? Ready, set, go. 30 more seconds. All right, is anybody willing to share on that? John.
I'm eager because for in the next 18 months, I get married in August of next year.
Right, that's clap-worthy. Sorry, go ahead.
My fiance, his best friend, is going to raise a pig for us to do a barbecue. And my uncle has decided that he will do the pig roast for free. So I am eager to taste the pig.
Awesome. That is great. I love it. I love it. Something else you're eager for. Joseph.
I'm eager to finish my doctorate degree.
Yeah. The future Dr. Khan right here. That's pretty awesome. Anybody else? What are you eager for? Florence, yeah.
I want my family to look at me differently. My kids
Oh.
come to me.
That gives me chills. That's awesome. I love it. Thank you for sharing. Let me tell you all what just happened in your brains. You see, when you write something down, it becomes real to your brain. If you just think something, it goes in and out, your brain doesn't care. So your brain doesn't care whether you tell it to go left or right, it'll just do what it's told. There's a saying marathoners have, the body will go where the brain tells it. Your body will go through excruciating pain if your brain tells it to do it. You writing this down just triggered some sensors in your brain to start building a path of how you get to what you're eager for. Writing things down has a huge impact on your brain. And then those of you that said it out loud just took it to another level. Because now your brain heard the voice it trusts more than anyone else in the world, your own, say that goal out loud. And those paths that your brain was building just became more clear. So my challenge to you this afternoon is when you get in your car, you don't have to have anybody else by it, I want you to say it out loud. I want to ask you to say what you were eager about out loud. Just hearing it could change the trajectory of where you're going. So you say, I will get that promotion at work. My husband and I will find a way to figure out how to have kids. We will get this. We will have that. And while you're doing that, by saying it out loud, I want you to start thinking about, where do I need to be patient and lean into learning something to make that happen? You put all those together, and that's how being eager can drive things to the next level. I want to give you an example about that. And when I wrote this, I swear to you, I did not know my kids were going to be here, but this is a story about my kid. This is pretty cool. So 2 years ago, we have this run in Stoughton called the Cent de Mai. It's a 20-mile run, a 10-mile run. My bride and I are long-distance runners. And so 2 years ago, we're sitting on a curb in Stoughton, and my best friend and his daughter, who was in 6th grade at the time, run the 10-mile run. Think about that, a 12-year-old running 10 miles. Can you imagine? And my 4th grade boy looks at me and he goes, Dad, I'm going to do that. And I thought, okay, great, sure, we'll see. Maybe you'll do that. This year, 2 years later, January comes up. This runs in May. January comes up, and my boy says, Dad, am I going to start training for the Sentinel Mai run? And I thought, wow, he's serious. The paths were starting to become clearer in his brain, how this was going to happen. We built a training plan. He goes 2 miles, he goes 3 miles, like a 5K. We have a saying, the guys I run with, anybody can run a 5K. So who cares you ran 3 miles? That's no big deal. He runs 4, he runs 5, he runs 6. He's getting pretty cocky. He's like, this isn't that hard. And then we go out for 7. And we're halfway out, 3.5 miles in the middle of nowhere, and he goes, I hate this, Dad. This is stupid. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm done. And his brain just shut down. The path, the block, the road, the wall was right there. And he said, I'm done. I don't want to climb over that anymore. What's cool is your brain has a switch called game on. And I didn't know this was going to happen, and he didn't know this was going to happen. But that guy and that guy's daughter who ran that race 2 years prior, they came over that night. And my boy was upstairs, and my boy hears Brian, my friend, and he comes down and he goes, hey, Brian, I'm going to run the 10 mile. And game on just flipped back on that kid's head. And with only doing 1 or 2 more runs, that kid right there ran 10 miles in Stoughton because his game on switch went. By saying something out loud, the paths become even more clear. And then by saying it to somebody else and making a commitment, game on. I wish I could snap right now. Game on happens when that happens. So let your mind go to game on. Don't just make the commitment to yourself. Whatever you are eager for, take that to the next level and make it to somebody else. So that is how you can look eager and how you can start to grow in where you want to go. And the last word I have was obedient. I had patient, expectant, eager, and obedient. Remember, McConaughey talked about it in his video a little bit. Don't let those certain things come into your life that maybe they shouldn't. Because this obedient one, you could take it so many ways. So many ways. Obedient to your spouse, to your partner, to your work, to your God, whatever it is. Here's how I want to take it. Your work is designed by a set of rules. It's governed by a set of rules. And the things you just wrote down are beautiful goals. They're real and they could happen. They deserve you being obedient to that set of rules, to not breaking the rules. And to bring this home, I want to tell you a story about a guy I knew. He had the coolest name in the world. His name was Rainy Champagne. Like, that is a cool name. The guy, of course, he was the CEO of a company. Like, you got a cool name, you're going to be a CEO. That's just how it works. So Rainy had a saying, and it was never do or say anything that you wouldn't do or say in front of your mother. And if you do that in my company, you'll be okay. Wow, that's pretty good. And this guy lived and worked an obedient life. And he made a lot of money for himself. He made a lot of people's dreams come true. And he made a lot of money for other people. And he was a very good-hearted man. And about 3 months before he was going to retire from our company got raided by the FBI. It was terrible. I had only been with the company less than a year. And they brought everyone together. And they took files. They closed everything down. They had his face plastered all over every wall. And I went to go see this guy speak to hear what's going on with our company. And I walked out that afternoon in Indianapolis, Indiana, and I called my bride on a little flip phone. Remember flip phones? I called my bride on a flip phone, and I said, I believe this guy. We didn't do anything wrong. And for 3 years, he postponed his retirement and kept working because he believed what we did was right, and he knew we didn't do anything wrong. And 3 years later, the FBI issued a public apology. It was after a million articles and millions of dollars in attorney fees. The FBI issued a public apology. I kept the article. It was only like this big. And it said, we apologize to Mr. Champagne and his organization. They did no wrong. They showed no negligence. And they paid $0 in fines. That man lived an obedient life to a set of rules that I was proud to work for. Now, I want to take that by contrast and just show you an extreme example of what can happen even within the same company when you're not obedient to the set of rules that are governing your world. See, Mr. Champagne did retire, and he gave the company to somebody else. And that man, I won't go into speculation or throw mud, but he was not obedient to the set of rules governed by our organization. And he lied, and he cheated, and he stole. And because he did that, it didn't just affect his livelihood, but tens of thousands of people around the country, thousands of employees lost their jobs overnight because he didn't follow a set of rules. And they came to work one morning and were told, your company is closed. One man followed a set of rules, and tens of thousands of people prospered. Another man decided to go his own way and close the company. Those rules are there. Your goals are beautiful. Be obedient to that set of rules, and great things can happen. So I told you my initial title for this was Leadership Lessons. As I wrote more and more, I went to patient, expectant, and eager. And it was only a couple weeks ago that obedient one came to mind. And maybe somebody in here needed to hear it today. Maybe there's a reason that came to me and said, I need to talk about this. But I promise you, if you work through your life, you're patient, you're expectant, eager, and obedient, great things will happen, not just to you, but the people around you. We have a great agenda for the rest of the day. I'm thrilled you're here. We're going to take about a 15-minute break, and I thank you for your time today. Thank you. Feel free to take a break.